from Mallorca. We arrived in here pretty late last night. We picked up a little Fiat 500, which we've wanted this whole trip. We kept booking Fiat 500s, but this is the first time we actually got one. And we're staying in a little cabin, which they actually call a casita, which I think means villa or cabin in Spanish, up in the hills of Soler, which is northwest sort of part of Mallorca, where all the mountains and the olive groves and everything are. So incredibly beautiful. Very, very remote. Let me catch you up on last week, because last week we were in Ibiza, however you say it. We were there for a week and we spent only 2 days partying. I think Ibiza is known obviously as a party island, but me and Ebs aren't the biggest partiers. Like, we love a good night and we're, no stranger to it once upon a time, but these days we are definitely on our more chill sort of beach holiday sort of thing. But we spent 2 nights partying and then the rest of the time somewhat just, traveling around the island and seeing all the beaches. We actually really loved it. Ibiza was kind of like Mexico, and Mexico was our favorite trip of all time. So it was really, really dry, really barren, and then you had these little cities along each beach that you kind of pop out at. I think Ibiza has a lot to offer besides just partying. I think everyone kind of goes there to party, and that's the side of it you really just see. But I actually think I enjoyed going to explore the island just as much as the partying. As for partying, which has left my immune system in the gutter, me and Ebs both left Ibiza with the Ibiza flu. We went to Kedama first at Amnesia. Amazing. The clubs in Ibiza are nothing like anywhere I've ever seen. I mean, I've only really clubbed in Australia and it doesn't even remotely come close. Really does live up to the hype. And then we also saw Calvin Harris. The DJs in Ibiza start at 3 a.m. for the most part, which is insane to me. But it does make sense in your hair because everyone in Spain has dinner at like 11 p.m, which also blows my mind coming from Australia where we're pretty much in bed by 9 p.m. every night. Those are the 2 acts we saw, which is actually more than enough for us. It was so much fun. We actually met up with some friends from Australia at Calvin Harris, which made it all that much better. I think no matter what, as much fun as it is partying with your girlfriend, it's always so much more fun when you have a big group of you, and Australians just do it best. I don't care what you say, Australians are so much fun to party with. So anyway, on to Mallorca. We're here for 6 days, and the first order of business is something that I've been so excited to do. I have a whole bunch of samples that I've had sent here. I didn't really know where to send them along our trip, and I didn't want to leave a place and then be stuck there, so I sent them ahead, and they've been sitting at the FedEx pickup point in Palma. So today we're going to go pick up 2 button-up shirts and 2 short samples and a tee sample, along with a whole bunch of fabric swatches for me to review. I'll do an unboxing when I get home and show you all those pieces. Very, very close to being ready. Got it. All right, we are back home and I have the packages secured. We spent the day in Palma. We had to pick these up in some random depot, actually 2 depots, different FedEx pickup points around Palma. But without further ado, we have the samples. They're from different manufacturers. I use different manufacturers for my shorts and for my t-shirts and a bunch of other things. Different manufacturers for my hats and different manufacturers for my button-up shirts. We'll start off with the shorts because these are what I'm hoping to be final samples. These are actually more so just to see some different colors. But open them up. This one also has a bunch of fabric swatches, which I'm looking at for a pair of long pants. A sort of barrel leg, sort of Japanese inspired pants that I have been envisioning. Selecting fabrics is by far the hardest part of designing and creating clothing. And it's not what I thought was going to be the hardest thing, but it's definitely the hardest thing when you are picky about input out. These are the grey pleated shorts. Honestly perfect. They're exactly what I wanted. In this sample, I went for a larger button, made sure we had reinforced cross stitching on that button. I added satin lining to the inside of the pants, so I'll just make them last longer and it feels a lot nicer when you're wearing it. And here's the brown. I don't know what type of brown I'd say this is yet. I'm going to say it's like a vintagey sort of coffee brown. And again, these are exactly the same embroidery in an off-white. You can see it. The thing I found with pleated shorts is that the pleats would never go fully deep enough. Like, they just didn't go deep enough, and that's really what you want with that silhouette. So Really deep pleat. I added bar tack stitching pretty much everywhere because I want them to last. And then there is a pleated seam down the center back. So yeah, it adds a bit of structure and it just adds a bit of a different look to it. Inside pockets are super deep as well. That's one of my pet peeves with pockets, is when they're not deep enough, but these are bang on. They're honestly perfect. T-shirts I kind of started with just so I thought it would be really easy to push out the perfect t-shirt. I knew exactly what I wanted, but it took so many more samples to get to where we are than I thought. Finding the perfect fabric and the perfect fit has been a really long process, but it's got the option screen printing. It's slightly, ever so slightly raised just for a different sort of feel there. It says options at the top, and then it has the season, and then it has design in Australia, then the garment ID for, I guess this is what I actually use in my tech pack. So this was the first thing I ever created. So options 2025 0101. I went with a heavy sort of single stitch with a pretty wide hem. Before we move into the shirts, I'm going to take you through fabric swatches and what I'm thinking as well when I'm looking at fabric swatches, because this is something that always interested me. I didn't know how people did this. I didn't know really what the process was behind selecting fabrics. When I start looking at a piece, for example, for this, I'm looking at a barrel silhouette long pants. So with this pant, it was really important that the fabric held that structure well. And I also didn't want it to be too heavy. So it's kind of finding that balance between heavyweight and the right type of fabric that's going to be able to hold its shape. My favorite button-ups are pretty unconventional. You've got like all your mainstream bands who are doing this really low quality, just gross cotton. Doesn't hold any shape, doesn't have anything different about it. And you can find billions of those everywhere. There's enough of it. We don't need any more of that stuff. So I want to do something a bit different, take on some different silhouettes, lean into what my brand is more at the core, which is focusing on silhouette over anything else, and the actual product itself more than the branding and the logos behind it. We'll start off with the blue shirt because this is probably the one I'm most excited for. So we have a boxy fitting long sleeve. I need to look at it myself probably. Amazing. I love it. So what I did with this is I wanted to have, firstly we'll start at the pocket. Basically it's got this chest support stitch across, and then it's got a hidden pocket with some bar tacks on the side. The other major thing is I wanted to add elbow pleats. I wanted this elbow to sort of flare out a bit and add a bit of shape to the elbow and taper into the arm. And then I also wanted to add an additional pleat by the wrist for the same sort of thing, so it could kind of suck in. It's actually very close to perfect.